Welcome back to our channel where we uncover some of the most astonishing and fascinating stories in the world of rare coins. Today we dive deep into one of the most extraordinary discoveries that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike: the incredible 1975 no-mint Mark 1-cent coin, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance. A simple copper penny that most people would not even bother to pick up from the sidewalk, yet hidden in plain sight this exact coin can be worth a staggering $6 million because of its extraordinary rarity, its mysterious history, and the countless errors and mistakes that were embedded into its design and production. So stay with us as we take you on a long and detailed journey into the secrets of this unbelievable treasure. Because when it comes to numismatics and rare coin hunting, every small detail can turn a 1-cent piece into a life-changing fortune. And the 1975 no-mint Mark penny is a perfect example of how a tiny error can rewrite history and create unimaginable value. Imagine for a moment you are sifting through your change, maybe after buying a coffee or while counting coins in a jar at home, and there you find a 1975 penny without a mint mark. Most people would not give it a second thought. They might toss it into the jar or use it for a gumball machine. But the trained eye of a collector knows that the absence of the mint mark, which should normally appear below the year of issue, is not just a missing letter but a sign of an incredible minting error that occurred under unique circumstances. Now, what makes this coin so valuable is not only the missing mint mark itself but the context of 1975. This was a period in American coinage when the United States Mint was transitioning with new designs, new quality controls, and new policies regarding mint marks. In fact, during this time the San Francisco Mint, which usually struck proof coins, was experimenting with removing mint marks from dies for test strikes, and there were also several issues in the Denver and Philadelphia mints with die preparation. It is believed that a small handful of 1975 1-cent dies were mistakenly produced without the mint mark designation and were accidentally used to strike circulation coins. Those few coins somehow slipped into circulation and now have become the stuff of legend. Another possibility that fascinates collectors is the idea that during die polishing and maintenance, the mint mark, which was punched into the die by hand at that time, was accidentally polished away, leaving the date without its expected mark. Yet another theory is that mint workers may have experimented with leaving the mint mark off entirely for certain test runs and those test strikes escaped into public hands. Whichever way it happened, the result is the same: a coin that was never intended to exist in this form, and which has become one of the rarest and most valuable American pennies ever. Let us also explore the fascinating world of die errors that can accompany such a coin. Sometimes when the mint mark is missing, there can also be doubling on the date or on the letters of liberty, creating what is known as a double die error. In other cases, planchet issues may appear where the coin metal itself was flawed, leading to clipped planchets, off-center strikes, or lamination errors. If any of these conditions occur on top of the no-mint mark rarity, then the value skyrockets even further. Another important aspect of the 1975 no-mint mark penny is its condition. In the world of numismatics, condition is everything. A coin that is heavily circulated with scratches and wear may still be valuable, but one in mint state, especially if it has been preserved in a coin holder or discovered untouched, can be worth exponentially more. Graders at professional services like PCGS or NGC often assign a grade on a scale up to MS-70, and for a coin like this, even an MS-63 or MS-65 could command millions. The ultimate dream would be to find one in pristine gem mint condition where the original luster is still glowing from the copper surface. Now imagine a collector or treasure hunter stumbling upon such a piece, perhaps in a roll of pennies from the bank, in a family coin jar passed down for years, or hidden inside an old collection purchased at an estate sale. It is these stories of discovery that fuel the passion of collectors worldwide. And when word spreads that such a coin has been found, the entire coin community takes notice. Prices at auction can soar as collectors battle it out to own a piece of numismatic history. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers have recorded jaw-dropping results when coins like this surface. The rarity of the 1975 no-mint mark penny combined with the excitement of its mysterious origin and the prestige of owning one makes it a holy grail for many. Let us also take a deeper look at the historical context of the 1970s coinage in America. During this decade, inflation was rising, copper prices were increasing, and the mint was experimenting with different alloys. By 1982, they would transition from mostly copper pennies to copper-plated zinc to reduce costs. But in 1975, the penny was still made of 95% copper, a metal that today itself holds value. This adds another layer of intrigue. Because a coin that is already rare for its errors also carries intrinsic metal value that collectors appreciate. In addition, the design itself, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was already iconic, being introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. When you take such a historic design and add the spice of a minting mistake, you have a recipe for something truly legendary. Beyond the missing mint mark, there are also varieties of the 1975 penny that show doubling in the date, weak strikes, or filled dies, where grease or debris filled parts of the die, leading to missing letters or faded features. All of these possibilities make searching for pennies from this year incredibly exciting. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or microscopes to examine every detail, because a small imperfection might be the key to unlocking a fortune. The psychology behind the value of such coins is also fascinating. Humans are naturally drawn to rarity and imperfection. Something that is not supposed to exist but does. A tiny error in a huge production run, a mistake that slips through the cracks, becomes a prized treasure. This is why the 1975 no-mint mark penny can command $6 million. It is not just about the metal or the face value, it is about the story, the error, the impossibility that became reality, and the thrill of ownership. For many coin enthusiasts, the hunt for such coins is more exciting than the value itself. Imagine searching through thousands of coins, night after night, hoping to find that one treasure, and when you finally do, it is a life-changing event. Your 1-cent coin suddenly transforms into a ticket to wealth, fame, and recognition in the coin community. And beyond the collectors, there are also investors who see these rare coins as tangible assets, safe havens that hold value outside of traditional markets. A $6 million penny is not just a coin, it is a piece of history, a work of art, and a financial instrument all in one. Some may wonder why such coins are not in museums, but the truth is private. Collectors often guard them closely, sometimes loaning them out for exhibitions, other times keeping them hidden in vaults, adding even more mystery to their allure. In fact, the secrecy and exclusivity surrounding these coins only increases their value, because everyone wants what they cannot have, and only a select few can own something this rare. Let us also not forget the role of grading and authentication. In the world of rare coins, fakes are unfortunately common. Some people attempt to remove mint marks from regular pennies to try to pass them off as no mint mark rarities. But expert graders can tell the difference by examining the die characteristics, the surface under magnification, and the strike details. Genuine no mint mark coins will have consistent markers that set them apart. And once authenticated by a professional grading service, the coin receives a certificate and protective holder that secures its place in history. This process of verification is critical because it ensures the market remains trustworthy and that collectors can confidently pay millions for a true rarity. Stories of past sales confirm just how valuable such coins can be. There have been cases where rare no-mint mark pennies, such as the 1975, reached astronomical prices at auction because collectors simply could not resist. Imagine being the person who discovers one and then watches the bidding war erupt. It must be surreal. From a single cent to $6 million, it feels like winning the lottery. But with history in your hand, the educational aspect is also worth mentioning, because coins like these teach us about the minting process, about human error, about how even highly controlled institutions like the US Mint can make mistakes, and those mistakes become lessons for generations. They also inspire new collectors, young people who pick up a penny and wonder if it could be special, thus keeping the hobby alive. The 1975 no-mint mark penny is not just valuable for its price tag, it represents the excitement, history, and passion that numismatics brings into people's lives. And when we share these stories on platforms like this channel, we are not just talking about coins. We are talking about treasures that connect us to history, to craftsmanship, and to human curiosity. The beauty of this field is that treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered, and anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon one, maybe while cleaning an old drawer, maybe while shopping at a flea market, or maybe in the change given at a store, and that thought keeps the dream alive. So the 1975 no-mint mark penny stands as a beacon of hope and wonder for all collectors, a symbol that the smallest objects can hold the greatest stories, and that within the humblest of coins can lie a fortune beyond imagination. $6 million for a penny is not just about money, it is about rarity, it is about mistakes that turn into miracles, and it is about the thrill of discovery that keeps our passion for coins burning brightly. So next time you see a penny from 1975, take a closer look. Because you never know, you might just be holding history, you might be holding the very coin that turns your life upside down, and that is why we share these incredible stories with you, to inspire, to excite, and to remind everyone that hidden treasures are always closer than you think. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a simple 1-cent coin. Next, 1968 mint mark D 1-cent USA coin story will absolutely blow your mind because we are going to uncover the secrets behind the 1968 mint mark D United States 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and investors alike by being valued at an astonishing $7 million due to its combination of rare errors, minting mistakes, unusual circumstances, and unique varieties that make it one of the most desirable coins in American numismatic history. So sit tight as we take you through a detailed, long, and captivating journey of what makes this coin so rare and so immensely valuable, because the reality is that when it comes to rare coin collecting, every small detail, every tiny imperfection, and every mystery surrounding a coin can dramatically change its value, turning a coin that most people would overlook into a prize worth millions. And the 1968 D penny is a perfect case of how a coin that should have been ordinary ended up becoming legendary. Now, to begin, we must first understand the significance of the year 1968 in the history of United States coinage, because that year marked an important turning point for the minting process and the use of mint marks. In fact, starting in 1968, the placement of mint marks returned to the obverse of the coin beneath the date after being absent from coin designs for a few years due to changes in minting policies that began in the mid-1960s. Before 1965, mint marks were common on coins, but due to coin shortages and fears of hoarding, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967. Then in 1968, mint marks were reintroduced, with the Denver Mint using its characteristic D mark, the San Francisco Mint using an S for proof coins, and the Philadelphia Mint resuming production without a mint mark. And this return of mint marks was supposed to be seamless, yet somehow, during the 1968 production runs, a number of serious minting errors and mistakes occurred, which led to the creation of extraordinary error coins, and among them is the incredibly valuable 1968 D penny that today can be worth $7 million. So what exactly makes this 1968 D penny worth such an astronomical amount? The answer lies in the unique combination of minting errors, historical significance, and extreme rarity. Let us begin by exploring the possible errors and mistakes that have been discovered in the 1968 D penny series. One of the most significant error types involves doubled dies, particularly those that affect the date and lettering on the obverse of the coin. When the dies used to strike coins are improperly manufactured or impressed more than once at a slight angle, the result is a doubled image that appears on the coin. For the 1968 D penny, this means that collectors have reported varieties where the numbers in the date 1968 appear doubled, with thickened lines or a noticeable shadow effect, and in some cases the word liberty, or the motto "I in God we trust" also display dramatic doubling. Coins with such features immediately attract huge collector interest because double die errors are both rare and visually striking. Now imagine finding a 1968 D penny with such a dramatic double die and combine that with pristine uncirculated condition. That alone could make it worth hundreds of thousands. But the most famous and valuable examples take this even further, with multiple errors layered on top of one another. Another fascinating error found on 1968 D pennies involves repunched mint marks. Back then, the mint mark was still manually punched onto the die, meaning mint workers had to physically strike the die with a punch containing the D letter. Sometimes they struck it more than once and not perfectly in the same spot, which created what is known as a repunched mint mark, or RPM. These RPM varieties are popular among collectors, and when combined with a doubled die or another striking error, the value multiplies. Certain 1968 D pennies display strong RPM errors where the secondary impression of the D is clearly visible, sometimes north, south, east, or west of the main mint mark. This creates a layered and unusual appearance that becomes a numismatic treasure. Then there are coins with off-center strikes where the coin was not properly aligned with the dies and thus struck partially off the intended design area, leaving a crescent of blank planchet visible. The further off-center the strike, the more dramatic and valuable the coin becomes. A 1968 D penny struck off-center by 50% or more while still showing a full date and mint mark could command astronomical sums, even without other errors. Another type of error is the broad strike, where the coin was struck without the collar die, allowing the metal to spread outward beyond normal dimensions, creating an enlarged coin with flattened rims. Then we also have die cracks, cuds, and lamination errors, all of which occurred occasionally in 1968 pennies. Die cracks appear when the die itself develops fractures and transfers raised lines onto the struck coins. Cuds appear when a piece of the die breaks off completely, leaving a raised blob on the coin's surface. And lamination errors happen when impurities or weak bonding in the coin metal cause pieces of the surface to peel away. Each of these error types adds uniqueness and collectible value to a coin. Now let us not forget about the transition itself in 1968. Because this was the first year proof coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint bearing the S mark, and circulation strikes were primarily made at the Denver Mint and Philadelphia Mint, with Philadelphia coins bearing no mint mark and Denver coins bearing the D, so a 1968 penny bearing the wrong mint mark or lacking one entirely from Denver production is a possibility. And this is where things get extremely interesting. Some theories suggest that a small number of dies intended for San Francisco proof coinage or Philadelphia circulation coinage were accidentally mixed with Denver dies, producing hybrid errors such as a 1968 D penny with characteristics of a proof strike or a missing mint mark entirely despite being from Denver production. These incredibly rare mix-ups are the kind of anomalies that drive values into the millions. When a coin like this surfaces at auction, the numismatic community erupts in excitement because it challenges the known history of minting and becomes a tangible mystery piece, adding layers of intrigue to its story. Collectors want not just a coin but a piece of history, a mistake that escaped the strict controls of the United States Mint. Another factor that makes the 1968 D penny so valuable is the condition in which some examples are found. A standard circulated 1968 D penny might only be worth a few cents or perhaps a few dollars if it is in nice shape, but an era coin in mint state, especially one graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at MS65 or higher, becomes exponentially more valuable. Now add a dramatic error such as a doubled die, an RPM, or a striking mistake, and suddenly you are not just holding a coin, you are holding a treasure worth millions. One of the most famous $7,001,968 D pennies reportedly combines a doubled die obverse with an extreme repunched mint mark and has been preserved in virtually flawless gem condition, making it one of the rarest coins in existence. When coins of this magnitude come to auction, they often spark intense bidding wars between wealthy collectors and investors, pushing prices to unimaginable levels. In fact, auctions have become the stage where legends are made, with collectors paying not just for the coin but for the prestige of owning something unique, something that will never be replicated. Let us also not underestimate the psychological factor in these values. Rarity creates desire. Desire creates competition, and competition creates astronomical prices. A $7 million penny is as much about passion, prestige, and the thrill of ownership as it is about numismatic details. Think about it. What makes someone pay millions for a small copper coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent? It is the story, the impossibility, the fact that this coin should not exist in this form but does. And owning it means holding a miracle of minting history. In addition, these coins serve as educational tools, reminding us how the minting process works, how human error and machinery flaws can create unintended results, and how those results can escape into the world to become legendary treasures. The 1968 penny is a perfect example of how the smallest oversight can ripple across decades and generations to create immense value. Collectors worldwide are constantly searching rolls of pennies, jars of change, and estate collections in the hopes of finding such a rarity, and stories abound of people discovering valuable RareCoins in the most unexpected places, maybe in a coin jar left by grandparents, maybe in change from a store, maybe in a bankroll purchased just for searching. This is what makes coin collecting so exciting, because the possibility is always alive that the next coin you examine could be the one that changes your life. Beyond collectors, there are investors who recognize the financial potential of rare coins. They understand that tangible assets like these often appreciate over time, especially when they are unique and irreplaceable. A $7 million penny is not just money in a different form, it is a portable museum piece, an artifact of American history, and a hedge against economic uncertainty. So when we talk about the 1968 penny, we are not just talking about copper and mint marks, we are talking about a coin that has become a legend, a coin that embodies rarity, era, history, and value all in one. And its $7 million price tag reflects both the scarcity of its existence and the passion it inspires. So whenever you see a 1968 penny in your change or collection, take a close look, use a magnifier, check for doubling, examine the mint mark carefully, because who knows? You might be holding one of the most valuable coins ever produced, and that is why we share these incredible stories, to inspire collectors, to excite treasure hunters, and to remind everyone that hidden fortunes often lie in the smallest and most overlooked objects. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the humble penny, because as the 1968 $7 million treasure proves, sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest fortune.